Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be speaking about the right-sided centre-back conundrum going on at Wolves at the minute. There's obviously a lot of players that can play that position, a lot of players have played that position, and generally we're going to be covering it in this video, who I would probably go for and the reasons why I like and dislike certain players in those positions. So it's probably best to just get straight into it now. From a sort of consistency perspective, I think you're looking at the Doc. For me, very rarely let Wolves down when he's played in that right-sided centre-back position. Obviously, his legs have sort of not gone. I wouldn't say his legs are gone. I think that's a disservice to Doc, to be honest. But I do think in terms of a sort of, you know, a player that's best equipped to play that position for Wolves, I think Doherty has, you know, has played well there and he offers a lot there. Now, when Wolves want to push on, Doherty is comfortable in those areas. He is comfortable in the final third. He is more comfortable anywhere down that right-hand channel, really. And also, like I say, his consistency since he came into the side playing that role, I think it's been brilliant. I think also from a leadership perspective, from a sort of maturity perspective, and generally from a quality perspective, for me, he's definitely one of the top options, if not the number one option for me to play that role. I think as a player, I've always liked the Doc. Obviously, he's not that sort of marauding wing back that he, you know, famously used to be anymore. He's not that player. But as players get older, of course, they're not going to be the same player, are they? They're just not. And that's what we've seen with numerous players. I mean, even like Santiago Bueno, when he came to Wolves, you know, very sort of aging, had been at the sort of top level of his career really for a long time, and then ultimately played a different role really to what he'd played at most clubs. Obviously still did the, you know, dictating of the game and stuff like that, but in terms of his role, there was, you know, a lot less running involved, letting him sort of get on the ball, make things happen, and, you know, it was nice to see that really. So I think we have seen players adapt their game. I think the Doc has done it brilliantly. So for me, he's probably up there. Now, I want to discuss a few others. Now, we have seen more recently Santiago Bueno stepping in there. Now, Santiago Bueno for me is a weird one. When he has a good game, he looks really decent. As you can see, the Molyneux's there. But yeah, when he has a good game, he looks decent. We haven't seen him have enough good games, in my opinion. I think he looks shaky. I think he looks shaky as a centre-half, really as a right centre-half, to be honest, as well. And generally, he's one of them players that in the squad, I genuinely couldn't tell you, really, like necessarily his best attribute, really. It's a weird one, you know, because every centre-back, to a degree, has an attribute where you look at and think that's a massive positive. But Bueno, for me, he doesn't defend the channel particularly well. I did think he did okay when he did play there, but I don't think he defends the channel as well as the Doc does. I also don't think, in terms of a player, I don't think he's particularly quick enough to play on that side when he's going to be facing, especially when Wolves are going to be facing touchline wingers. Now, I think if you're playing him against like a Jack Grealish or a winger that perhaps just wants to receive the balls a bit more safe with it, a bit less electric, maybe like, you know, Gakpo, who for me is probably the best left winger left in the league, to be quite honest. But it's one of them. If you're playing against him, maybe you wouldn't have too much of a tough game, because Gakpo isn't that sort of that winger that wants to take you on. He wants to come inside, wants to make things happen for his teammates. So often we have seen that numerous times. So sorry for the shaky camera work, but I do think in terms of a sort of right centre-half option, for me, I'm not overly keen on Santiago Bueno. I don't think his pre-season performances have helped his case, to be quite honest. And he, like I say, did look okay when he came in more recently. But for me, he's probably not number one contender. Now, gets very interesting with the signing of Ladislav Craig, doesn't it? As I called, I thought it would get interesting. Now, Ladislav Craig, for me, I think he's probably going to start as a centre-half for Wolves, to be honest. Could potentially be starting as that sort of left-sided centre-back instead of Toti. But for me, I think they'll probably play together. I do think they will play together, and Toti seems like one of them. It just seems a weird sort of situation to publicly say he's in the leadership group and then all of a sudden go, do you know what? Nah. Do you know what? Nah, we'll just completely drop him. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Krejci's ball playing ability reminds me similarly of Conor Cody. Obviously, he's better in terms of as a sort of natural defender. than Cody now, obviously. Maybe not back in the day, but definitely now. But for me, I think Craig will play that centre half role, which leaves a very interesting role for Emmanuel Agbadoo. Now, let's talk about Agbadoo, because it's been nothing short of a stinker, really, from him this season, in my opinion. I think he's been so poor, not even inconsistent. He has been consistently poor, to be honest. And Agbadoo's one of them that, for me, it's a concern, because, like I say, he did look good last year. And as that centre half, he's been playing that role now since January for Wolves. And it's one of them that's really strange, because last season, in terms of metrics, Agbadoo was well up there for sort of interceptions in his own penalty area. I think he had 12 or 13, which put him in, I think, in the top 5% in the Premier League during his time actually there. And generally, in terms of a box defender, really promising. And like I say, his speed as well, he was, looked really quick, really sharp, and recorded a really high top speed. But ultimately, what does speed mean if he can't defend? And that sounds mad, because he could defend last year, but I just don't know what's happened with Agbadoo, whether he's been scranning, whether he's been eating loads in the off season. Could be that, could be, but I don't know what's happened to him. He just looks sort of, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but just none of his actions are convincing, none of his defending is particularly convincing nor inspiring. And just generally, it looks like the mistakes, some of the mistakes, I mean, Agbadoo's passing through the lines generally is quite good. It has been for majority of his career, but his passing recently, dreadful. Against Bournemouth, thought he was dreadful. Thought he was dreadful against Everton. Thought he was dreadful against Manchester City. Dreadful against pretty much every team he's been against, to be honest, which is a huge concern. And let me know your thoughts on Agbadoo as well, because I don't want to go too harsh on him, because he could easily turn it around. But he's not shown many signs of it, let's just say that. So in terms of a sort of... the reason I'm speaking about Agbadoo is because I do think there's potentially he does play that right centre-half role if Krejci and Toti are in there. However, for me, as I've briefly touched on, I don't think he defends the channels well enough. Now, the one thing he does have in terms of defending the channel that Santiago Bueno perhaps doesn't is that yard of pace. He's got that acceleration, he's got that speed. But his best attributes are defending the box. And he's not even doing that well this season, so it is a big concern. I do think his passing would be okay as that right-sided centre-half. But generally, he's one of them that really concerns me, if I'm being completely honest. And I know I've gone around this in a bit of a roundabout way, but he is one of them players that I think I would love to see him get back to that top level. I just don't think he can. In this sort of mindset, or maybe he's physically lacking, or I'm not sure what it is with Agbadoo, whether it's a mental thing, maybe it's a sort of when the pressure was on last season, he needed to be good and he did step up, but this season he could be thinking it's only a few games into the season, so we're not under any real pressure. But when he gets to December, that all changes if Wolves are in the same position. So again, it's a weird one. Now, of course, for me, when everyone's fit, it probably would be Yerson Mosquera. Now, this is the one that I wanted to speak about because I like Mosquera. The risk with Mosquera, there's a few risks actually. One of them, mainly his injury record. The other one is his sort of, we haven't actually seen that much of a sample size. And I know that sounds mental given the fact that he's been at Wolves for a while, but obviously, huge injury. And we haven't seen him really, we haven't seen him consistently enough to say he's definitely good enough, if you know what I mean. I just don't think that we've ever seen the best of Mosquera yet, and I do think there is another level he could go to, but I do think it's a massive risk, personally, given the fact that, like I say, we haven't seen him on a consistent basis against Premier League opposition for numerous games and regularly week in, week out. So I do think it's a massive risk, but I would like to see it happen. I hope you can still hear me, by the way, because there's some very busy traffic, but as I've said, I do see that happening personally, and I do think he probably is the best option when everyone's fully fit, in terms of just pure ability as a defender, in terms of pure quality. But for me, if we had to conclude this video and conclude it in a sort of a quick sum up, really, I think Agbadoo may be the option for Vitor Pereira at the minute. I don't think he'll drop Agbadoo, is my thinking, and I don't think he'll drop Toti, so that means that Krejci probably plays in the middle, to be honest. I don't see Wolves bringing Krejci in to not play him. So again, I think Krejci is the centre-back, Toti is the left centre-back, and Mosquera as that right-sided centre-half is the best when everyone's fit. But Mosquera won't be fit for until October, maybe even later, to be honest. You know, he's had minutes here and there, and Premier League football intensity is different to Carabao Cup or friendlies or anything like that. So it'll be a very interesting one to see what the lineup is when everyone's fit. I do think it will be, when everyone's fit, probably Mosquera. The best in terms of quality probably is Mosquera, Agbadoo, Krejci. But I don't think Toti will get dropped. So I think for Vitor, it will be Toti, Krejci, Agbadoo as his back three when everyone is sort of fit and up to the Premier League level, really. So let me know what you think. Let me know which sort of team you would go for, which centre-back partnerships you'd go for, the three in that five at the back, because I do think there's a lot of different possibilities. As I've said, I think there's many players. Luckily, Wolves are quite well sort of, one of the areas they're quite well sort of covered in, really, and in terms of actual quality, it's relatively high, but the fitness is the issue, and there's a few issues with consistency and stuff like that. So let me know which ones you'd go for in that back five. Let me know if you did enjoy this video as well. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below yours. Like I've just said, I'm waffling on now. Another vlog style video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.